Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we got divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and we also have a preview of the national championship tonight. Starting off in the AFC, we're going to be with the Bills and the Broncos, a battle up in the Mile High City. We had Bo Nix versus Josh Allen, arguably, I think, the second best game of the weekend, and that was the opener, right? You had the Broncos and Bills. Bills got off to a slow start. They kept turning the ball over. Josh Allen had overall 5 turnovers. The Broncos just looked like they were going to march through and win this. They were up, I think, 13 at the half. Bo Nix and the defense looked good. I felt that they were all over the place and just made Josh Allen uncomfortable. And then in the second half, things kind of switched. I felt like Josh Allen got in a rhythm, a groove. The run game was going. They just had some bad timing mistakes, right? You had James Cook fumbling, Josh Allen fumbling, picks, Keon Coleman dropping. Like, it was just not in sync. And then they kind of started clicking in the second half, and they were just chipping away. And I felt like that Josh Allen was really starting to find a groove, but you can't turn the ball over 5 times. You know, we had the infamous play I'm going to show on screen where, you know, Josh Allen throws it up to Brandon Cooks, and they're fighting with it, and somehow the defender comes out with the ball. I felt that the Brandon Cooks was down and that they should have just gave the tie to the receiver. But that's something that's odd. And then you also had the pass interference in overtime where you had 2 calls that I felt like, you know, the Bills driving the other way would have not gotten those same calls or didn't. And we really feel like that was the turning point in the game for them to be able to win. But you, as a fan of Josh Allen, you can't turn it over 5 times and expect to win, especially in the playoffs. Like in Denver, you're not going to survive. Bo Nix managed the game well, did his job, executed. But this is on Josh Allen, in my opinion. You got to be able to get it done. Like, there's no reason you should have came in and played sloppy like that. But it's going to be a question to see, like, you know, with the AFC probably rising again after this season, you know, is this something that Josh Allen will never be able to come is to get to a Super Bowl with how stacked the AFC is going to be looking the next 5 to 7 years? You know, on the Broncos side, after such a heart, you know, fought out win, you go and you realize that Bo Nix broke his ankle. Like, I was so confused when they said that I had to see if there was a fake account that posted it from Schefter, but it looked like it was on his kneel down or on his scramble to the left to set up the field goal. Either way, it's a heart-wrenching way to enter into the AFC Championship game with Jarrett Stidham, a guy who has thrown the least amount of passes in the past 2 years, got ran out of New England, and you have to think that this is just going to be, who knows what the game plan is going to be. I mean, I know that they're at home. They have a strong defense. They can run the ball a decent amount, but Sean Payton's going to have to put on a masterclass because I'm going with the Patriots as a favorite. And then moving over to the other Patriots and Texans, a game that I had expected the Patriots to win, given at home, Texans playing outside, and, you know, in inclement weather. CJ Stroud played his worst game of his NFL career. He hasn't looked the same since year one, like a lot of people are saying, but I just think overall, though, like, you got to have, you know, a much better, more locked in. He just didn't look locked in. Like, he had like 4 interceptions in the first half. Like, if you want to be considered a top 5 quarterback, you got to will your team. You have to find ways. I know that it was slippery outside, but you have to use your legs. Like, he just didn't look like he cared at all. I don't know what it was, if he was cold himself, but with no Nico Collins, you have to show that you can do it without any top star receivers. And he just looked unbothered. He just looked completely out of himself. Maybe because he's playing in cold weather. He didn't really look that good in Pittsburgh, but I thought that he was going to be a gamer and show up. But on the Patriots side, Drake May did what he needed to do. He, you know, was able to distribute the football. You know, a lot of guys, Stephon Diggs played well. He had that one to Bourne, or yeah, I think so. And overall, they played a really well-rounded game. Defense was just making C.J. Stroud uncomfortable. They stuck to their game plan. I like them. I think they're going to probably get to the Super Bowl with Stidham being the quarterback and not Bo Nix. But, we'll see on the preview of that. But, yeah, we have Patriots and Broncos heading into next week. It's a throwback to 2015 with the Brady versus Manning. It'll be in Denver. I'm excited to see that one. And then moving over to the NFC, starting off with the Seahawks and Niners. I expected the Seahawks to win by at least 7, but I didn't expect them to blow them out like that. Seahawks look like the best team remaining. They just completely pounded them from the start, pick 6 to start. And Brock Purdy, without Kittle, looked like he was just out and, didn't have any sort of resilience at all. Like they didn't move the ball like they thought they were, a couple weeks ago when they went into Philly. I just felt like Brock Purdy has hit his ceiling. Like without his stars on the team, like he's not going to be able to will you a win in the playoffs, especially on the road. Like, I don't know. I think he's good, but I don't know if he's worth 60 to 65 million. He needs to have an elite core of guys to be able to make a Super Bowl run like he did. But I think, he's just, his ceiling is what it is. He doesn't have that top elite, willing his team over the top. But, credit to the Seahawks. They played well. Sam Darnold, I'm happy for him because he had a narrative in his career that he can't win the big game, right? But I think he's shown over the past couple weeks getting a number 1 seed and winning those big games to get the number 1 seed. He's proven that he isn't just a fluke like a Kirk Cousins, something that Kirk Cousins kind of has over his head. He can't win. So I'm glad for him. He honestly should be getting all the money he deserves. The Vikings are still shaking their heads over letting him walk. But Seahawks advance, and then my Bears. It was one of those seasons where you thought that, we were just going to keep finding a way, right? It was a literally 18-degree weather, flurries. The Rams looked just completely cold, didn't have the same speed or ability to move the ball down the field. Stafford, he didn't have any big mistakes, but he just wasn't on the same type of timing you would expect with Puka, Devontae. So they were really struggling. And then Caleb, we started out okay. We just couldn't convert on 4th down. We had some drops with Rome. Caleb was just not on the same timing in the first 3 quarters of the game, which has been the same, story for the Bears this season. So we're not really in sync. We were closer than the Packers game, where we were able to, stay in the game. We weren't fighting uphill, but we just didn't seem like we had control of the game like the Rams did. We were able to tie it. I think that Cole Kmet play, single-handedly the greatest play in the playoffs, given the magnitude, on 4th down, season on the line, in the last 10 years at least. Just for the going back, I think, to the 40 and chucking it to Cole Kmet. It's not like he was wide open. It was like tucked in the corner. Outstanding. So I credit the Bears for fighting. I think Dennis Allen had his best game of the season, given how hot the Rams were on offense. I think personally we should have went for 2 off the Cole Kmet touchdown. I know a lot of people are saying, well, we were 2 for 5 on 4th down, but in that situation when the Rams are stunned because we couldn't get anything going on offense, we kept having to settle for field goals or go for it. I think you just catch them off guard because that was a long drive to get down there. And I think if we just had some play, I think our 4th down choices weren't our best calls, in my opinion. Just some straight up runs. We weren't being creative. We could have definitely had something else. But we decided to not do it and go for overtime. I think the plan in overtime worked, where we kicked and they had the ball first. They ended up just punting. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Caleb is going to do another Caleb moment. We're going to get a walk-off or we're going to get a field goal. And we just saw Caleb marching down the field. We had some check downs, and then Caleb, we're at the 50. I'm like, we're 15 yards away. And then, we decided to run a bigger play where we had Cole Kmet going for a check down. We had Rome fading, kind of drawing the safety away, but the safety doesn't bite. So then that leaves DJ Moore to cross and hopefully, lean more towards the line of scrimmage than towards the end zone. He kind of jogs. I didn't really necessarily like that he was quote-unquote jogging, but, I think it was just perfect timing by the safety. Caleb more anticipating than what actually happened. So it's kind of on both sides, but I felt like we didn't need it. We could have just went with the check down and left it in Cairo's hands because he hasn't missed in that Chicago weather in a while. So I felt like we kind of forced it. So it's not on DJ. More so, I think it was just a force. But we overall, it was just a heck of a season, honestly. Best Bear seasons I've had since the 2010 season with Cutler. So Rams advance is going to be a divisional matchup for the NFC Championship. But yeah, so, and then moving on to the NCAA Football Championship, we got Miami Hurricanes, Carson Beck and the boys versus the Indiana Hoosiers, Fernando Mendoza, Kurt Signetti. Honestly, kind of a Cinderella, but they're also a juggernaut. Like they're very similar to that 2019 Joe Burrow team. Not in the sense of stars, but just the dominance that they've had over good teams. I think that they're favored by, 5 or 6. I'd have to check. But overall, it's in Miami. I think that plays favor to the Hurricanes. They are big up front, offense and defensive line, and they can run the football. Carson Beck, I think you have to force him to make plays. He made some plays down the stretch in that Ole Miss game. But you can see that if you can get pressure on him, he will be rattled. I expect if they don't control the line of scrimmage and Indiana can get pass rush, I think Indiana is going to have a game where they're chucking it down the field, they're running it down their throats, and it can get out of hand in the second half. I expect it to be close, about 10-point lead for Indiana, and then I expect Indiana to run away with it in the second half, push it down the field because like Indiana, they are going to pummel you until submission. Like, they don't care. You saw what they did to Oregon. You saw what they did to Alabama. They will literally destroy you. So I expect the same. I'm not buying into the Cinderella because they honestly have guys that are 22, 23 years old. Like, these are grown men. And Miami is kind of, just trying to find and stay afloat. They've had a good run, too, beating Ohio State, Ole Miss, A&M on the road. Like, it'll be a battle. I'm expecting Hoosiers to be your national champs. Big Ten, I think that'll be 3 in a row. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. We'll be doing more recaps, predictions, getting some more NBA. So if you like this, go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.